So I got this bike in the frame backwards. I want to do a little conversation about quick releases. People don't understand them. People are always freaking out about them. Should probably do one on Presta versus Schrader valves for that reason too. So if you can see from this angle, this quick release skewer has a lever arm, and the lever arm is bent this way. And it really should always be bent in. So you can see it's pointed out. This means that whoever put this back wheel in doesn't understand how to use a quick release. And neither do a lot of people. They don't really make sense until they've been explained. So a quick release is a cam. It's a lever arm that tightens as you pull it closer. So the inside of here, this little lever arm is rolling on a cam. It's kind of, imagine an egg shape. So instead of a perfect circle, one side's a little taller and more pointy. So you start on the circle side, so it's nice and loose. And then you pull it to the egg shape. So it gets tighter and tighter and tighter as the egg shape part comes around. So right now, the person just put this in here as if it was a screw. So they just screwed the wheel in as tight as they could without flipping the quick release. Which kind of seems like it works, but it doesn't. It's totally unsafe. The wheel's really not in tight enough. It'll come loose, it'll slip, it'll slide. So I'm going to unscrew this guy. You can see the wheel's already falling. We get the right tension to where you can flip it and start getting real tight as you flip. Real tight. So tight. See, this is probably still too tight because I can't get it to go kind of all the way parallel. So I'm going to turn it a little bit more. Now we can get it pretty much straight up and down in line with the bike. And now it's probably tight enough the wheel won't slip. This also puts tension on the frame into the hub, onto the cones and lock nuts, changing the hub tension. So when you adjust a wheel, the tension's got to be set so that once the quick release is locked down, the tension's correct on those bearings. So it's all sort of related. So here's another angle on the back of the bike. So now you can flip this cam from the egg-shaped part of the lobe to the round part, and it's loose. Tight, loose, tight, loose. So to get a back wheel out, it needs to be set up correctly, or like you saw, it was just screwed on, so I unscrewed it. But set up correctly, you just flip this guy from the closed position to the loose position, the wheel drops out. On this frame, we need to pull the rear derailleur back because the chain's all in the way. So you gotta get the rear derailleur out of the way, drop the chain, and you can wiggle the wheel out from between those. I'll do a shot of this from the other side as well. Same thing, you gotta put it back in. You gotta do two things to get the wheel back in. You gotta line it back up with the chain and the rear derailleur. But you also have to line it up here with the brakes, which you can't see. What's happening? What else is going on here? Something else is going on here. Sometimes the dropout can be damaged or burred, or the axle. So another thing this person did wrong is the quick release spring is on the axle incorrectly. If you look at the good side, you can see the quick release spring. So push this in, it springs back. The quick release spring is a tapered cone. The fat side goes against the skewer, the skinny side goes against the axle. On this side, you can't really see it because it's over the axle. So put it on backwards and just screw this all together. So now the axle's too fat. It doesn't want to fit inside the frame. And the spring can't really do its job. So you can see it's a little tapered cone. So you gotta flip it over. With the skinny side, it's about the size of the axle, up against the axle, and the fat side, it's about the size of this quick release. A little bit. It's got a name. Can't remember it on the fly. Now it's on correctly. Now the whole thing's real springy on both sides, and this is to keep the quick release away from the axle so you have room to slide it in and out of the dropouts. I can see inside this frame, there's a little bit of damage. All the paint's missing. If you feel it, the metal's been dug into a lot by this tire because this wheel hasn't been in hard or solid. So it's been moving and shifting, and the tire's been hitting the frame, so this tire's just acting like sandpaper or a grinding disc, cutting into this very thin frame tube. So I would say this bike's this frame's probably really not safe to ride. I mean, lots of guys do it, it's fine, it could last a dozen years or 50 years, or it could crack and fail fairly soon, which is a shame. This is handcrafted by Kanasagagawa, or some cool Japanese name. Wonder if a small frame building house built these cool aluminum frames. I mean, it's not super bad. If this was my bike, I would ride the crap out of it. Maybe not on tour, but around town. So here's a shot of the wheel coming in and out from the drive side. So what I do is I sort of get this bottom part of the chain out of the way, line up the top part on the cog, usually the smallest. This one's not adjusted correctly, so it kind of comes up and hits the second cog. And then I sort of just hold both sides of the quick release, use my thumbs on the frame, and just pull it straight up. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle until it's in that dropout. It's easy to lock it in the wrong spot, so you really want to make sure you pull both sides up and then flip the quick release lever on the other side. When you flip the quick release lever on the other side, if it's too loose, you can unscrew it a little bit. If it's too tight, if it's too tight, you can unscrew it a little bit. If it's too loose, you can screw it a little bit tighter on either side. This is basically just a bolt and a nut. Now it's all the way up, it's in straight. You can look, see how much gap there is on this dropout, see the other side and see it's about the same. You can eyeball the frame down to the tire, make sure the gap's the same on both sides from the frame to the tire. You can do the same thing with the brake pads. You can look and see the gap's about the same with the brake pads. You can make sure the wheel's not in crooked. That is another thing you often have to do on these bikes, is flip the quick release. And this is what it's for. It's for taking the wheel in and out. So if you have it down, you have all that full cable tension on there, and the brakes are usually real tight on that rim. So you flip it up, and they spring all the way open to allow you to fit the rim and the tire down past the brakes. A multi-step process to get this back wheel in and out. You gotta have it lined up, you gotta pull the derailleur out of the way, you gotta have the brakes out of the way. So we do the same thing to remove it from this side. As you can see, we can flip the quick release, which lets it drop. We can pull the derailleur back to sort of unwrap the chain from the freewheeler cassette. And sometimes we gotta move this one down, wiggle it out of the way. On the side of a road, I usually use an Allen wrench or a stick to move the chain out of the way so I don't get dirty grease all over my hands and wreck my bar tape and wreck the rest of my day while I'm riding. You can see this wheel is an old Suntour 4-prong freewheel on a Suntour branded hub. That's pretty cool. The most common problem with front wheels, other than everything that has happened on the back, is them being in wrong. So you'll have the skewer on the drive side. We don't do the skewer on the drive side because it's in the way of the derailleur on the back, and we make the front match the back. So the front will drop right in and out as long as the brake's open, just like the back. As long as the springs aren't all messed up like the back, and as long as the tension's right on the quick release. Pop it in, nice and tight. Now you notice on this one, when you drop it, it falls right out, because it has totally smooth dropouts. On a lot of modern bikes, there's lawyer lips on these dropouts, a little lip at the bottom to keep this from falling out, in case you put it in wrong, don't understand how quick release works, just try and tighten it like a screw, forget to tighten it, it pops open on a bumpy ride. Lawyer lips are annoying to mechanics, but I once jumped a curb and had my front wheel fall off when I was an amateur, and it was horrifying, so it's nice that they exist, I guess, for a lot of people. So here is the skewer out of the bike. You can see it's basically just a long bolt, spring on each side, and then a nut. So all you're really doing by spinning this is tightening the bolt into the nut to get this exactly tight enough. And now you can see in here the distance from this actual axle shaft into this head changes as you spin this. So now it's almost flush. And now it's recessed 3 or 4 millimeters. That's it, actually tightening down, sucking this up inside with that cam to tighten down. This hub feels good for being so old. The rim looks pretty alright. These tires, even though they're probably 10 years old, look brand new. The back rim, I think notice I had a little wobble or a hop. So when we go to true these, we'll see if it's savable or not. Be nice. Nice, savable, good set of used wheels is a good thing to have. Better than just some hubs. You have to spend much money on spokes and rims and labor to get built into wheels. I'll probably sell all these parts as a gruppo to somebody who wants to restore an old road frame and put some cool stuff on. And be easier to sell if it's just hubs, because it'll make the shipping a lot cheaper. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and put this all back together so I don't lose parts, because that's the most important thing. Not losing parts. Not misplacing hardware. Not. Sometimes a nice part becomes absolutely valueless if you lose weird proprietary hardware that everyone loses. There's a million old campy brake sets floating around with no barrel adjusters. And the barrel adjusters are worth $50. And the campy brakes are worth $50 if they're complete, and they're worth $0 if they're missing the barrel adjusters. So that is my little instructional video on how to get quick release wheels in and out of old bikes. Thanks for watching.